Okunson, who is saying Uhuru beats Raila to be the most corrupt leader, and this is what I expect to hear from Infotrack. Well, that is an opinion right there that's coming through. And Leonard Olwande is saying Weda will always say, well, will never say anything constructive about Raila. And we are having John Givanga, who is saying a proposed overhaul of, well, I think he's talking about the 844 system in regard to what Ambrose talked about. And I would like us to have time as well for what David Ndii did say about what's happening in the country today and how, you know, we need to break away from this thing called the Kenya Project. But what do you think about him thinking that maybe tribe in some way is a way to deliver us from what the country is experiencing right now? Ambrose?
I think Ndii is sounding frustrations and therefore getting into irrational solutions. I think the country would be better. The country cannot be better in isolation. We must look at other countries. And the best country you look at this stage is America. And what has America done? America has built institutions. Institutions that then people coalesce around. So it is our turn at this time, although there are issues, to build the judiciary, to build the legislature, to build all these institutions so that when I go to parliament, like my classmate here, then I speak on behalf of Kenyans and not my fellow Luos. When I work for Kenyans. So the way forward is to build and strengthen institutions. And then the sharing of the national cake, such that whether I'm president or I'm not, then my people do not benefit more than the others. If we follow this route, then we would actually be a better nation. But I think Ndii is so frustrated that he wants quick answers. And he thinks if you close the Kikuyus or the Nandis or the Ndias in a corner, then you will share the cake like that. That is chaotic thinking that we pray to him that God should touch him so that he thinks that we are all having the same blood. We are all human beings going in one direction. The key thing is let us build institutions. So that's why I'm telling you, don't kill IEBC, you kill the judiciary. Every time you people are talking, sack this one, toa uyu, finish this one. Let's talk about so-and-so in IEBC. We have no confidence in him because he has done this, he needs to go. So-and-so in the judiciary. You don't take the whole bus. Then we will be a stronger nation. After about 3-4 elections, I'm telling you, Kenya is slowly coalescing around institutions than we were in the first multi-party elections was purely tribal. Purely. Now you can see an ODM MP in Meru. You can hear 2 ODM MPs in Meru. It is only us in Luoland who have refused to change. You say you are with Uhuru, they say you are a betrayer, but you go to Meru, they tell you, we think you are a good fellow. You hear the votes that Raila Odinga got in Kikuland were far much more than the votes President Uhuru got in Luoland. Why? Because there they look and say, I think Raila is good. Us, we are still in jail. So it's prayer. God needs to touch our hearts to look at leaders as they are.
And not look at the tribe.
Yes.
All right. Mariuki, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. What did you think about him basing each and everything that's going on in the country along tribal lines?
Just to pick from where Wenda said, I think this is a man who is frustrated. For one, some time, I think he ought to have been in government. He thought he ought to have been in government, either as a PS, I think had applied for a CS position. So now he's provoking the establishment, all right? These are the fews that I would be giving him. Now that you never employed me, these, let me just hit you below the belt. But again, we should not dismember Kenya. Remember, Kenya is bigger than all of us. It's bigger than all of us put together. So we should go for unity. Let us go for our institution. I'm very happy with Mutonga because he's saying I have 1 year to learn on my term as a Chief Justice, and he's saying is giving it up. He wants he wants his successor to be known early in advance so that he can take care of the general elections if there's an ensuing petition for the presidency. And that is what we should be saying as Kenyans. If you've given your best, like maybe he thinks maybe he doesn't have much more to give other than visiting the prisons and seeing how the prisoners are faring. Let him step aside, let us have other Kenyans do it. But I give it to him because he said, other than what many Kenyans would say, I'll go up to the last minute of my term, is giving up one full year. But again, we mess it up at some point because now we do not have, as going forward, there's the issue of judicially, the judges, some don't want to retire at 70, others say we need to go up to 74.
Right.
So it's like we're in a quagmire as the judiciary is concerned. If we do not fix that bit between now and the general elections, it will be anybody's take.
All right. So people have made different opinions, or people have different opinions in regard to these views in regard to tribe. And some of them have said, you know, this is how Kenya has always operated from the word go, even up until today. You know, when you look at jobs and resource allocation and distribution, it's still along the lines of tribe. So what is going to make it different if we just come out and accept it instead of denying it and saying, you know, we're building institutions, and yet those institutions are also built based on what tribe someone belongs to. Noah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
You see, I get very disturbed when in the national debate someone raises an issue of great pertinence and the response from those who represent the ruling coalition is that this person wanted a job and was denied a job. Therefore, all their points and issues raised therein are invalid. It's a very simplistic and narrow-minded way of looking at issues and does not allow the administration to respond in a manner in which would satisfy Kenyans. We need to look back into history to understand the best way to go forward. When the colonialists came to Africa, in what was termed the Scramble for Africa in the 1890s, African countries were divided according to territory and not according to nations. That's why you'll find Maasais in Kenya, Maasais in Tanzania. That's why you'll find Luos in Kenya, Luos in Uganda. That's why you'll find Ormas in Kenya, Ormas in Ethiopia. So what the situation this puts us in is that we need to find a way of creating a level playing field for everybody. A sensitivity onto the importance of ethnicity in the national fabric. You don't build these institutions and you don't build a nation by ignoring the fact that Kenya is made up of 42 tribes. You embrace that and you try to give everybody a fair and equal opportunity in order to build a nation. And how do you do that? One of the proposals of the Okoa Kenya referendum is actually creating a minimum quota for minorities. Failing to admit that there do exist minorities in this country is the biggest mistake we shall ever make. And that's why you would see certain leaders campaigning on a platform of tyranny of numbers, that these two communities are enough to run Kenya. And yet Kenya is made up of 42 different communities.
Yes.
You need to find leadership that embraces all of Kenya, both minorities and those who are in numerous numbers, such that everybody feels as though Kenya is a place where they can call home and they do have a stake. And you can do that by creating these quotas for employment, quotas for job opportunities. For example, in the military, if the military is recruiting 1,000 people, you say that this minimum number needs to be 30%, needs to be for minorities, so minorities can apply and get a stake, and that everybody can have a chance at excelling.
But at some point, President Uhuru Kenyatta has come out and, you know, said we need to really stop the habit of basing everything on tribe. He actually called it ukabila. And he has on several occasions come out and said, you know, we need to desist the habit of basing everything along tribal lines. So do you think that maybe to an extent we are living in denial, that we are in a situation where tribe plays a huge role in just about everything that happens in the country, but yet again, it's this for the same reason that we say we need to go past and do something different? Mheshimiwa, I'd like to hear from you.
It's very well for Noah to speak. I mean, it's good listening. But when you look at when he says skilled resource allocation, take the case of the standard railway gauge line. It runs from Mombasa. It goes all the way to Maraba.
Yeah.
So is that, I want to imagine that as crisscross the entire Kenya. Look at the Lapset corridor. All the way from Lamu Lala, all the way to the boundary with Ethiopia. So we are not saying, I mean, we cannot justify that is a skilled resource allocation. It's only that they are not giving the government time. Some of these things have a timeline. When you look at the laptops, they'll be in every and other school in this country. If you look at electricity, that power is being electrified to each and every other primary school in Kenya. I would not call that skewed resource allocation. Number two, look at the police force. They're going to recruit on 4th next month. And each constituency as a recruitment center, each constituency in this country. So how is that skewed employment? Every other Kenyan is being given chance at their constituency level. It's only that the Quad Coalition is very nice at giving narrative that this is happening. You know, we don't live in isolation. Neither are we in an island. When Raila Odinga was a prime minister, my friend, all the appointments were not even from Nuo Nyanza. They were from his relatives. They emanated from his family. So why weren't they seeing
How
that?
big
And
is
now they're
his
seeing
family?
what Kibaki. Look at Uhuru. All those appointments, they transcend and crisscross the entire piece. I mean, every other part of this country. Look at all of them. But since the other day we were saying, and we know the appointments are done in batches.
Right.
It's only that a certain batch comes, then we say, oh, somebody from Luo Nyanza has not been appointed. But look at the previous appointments. Somebody from that Luo Nyanza was there, even from Nairobi. But
No,
the court,
All right.
Let me clarify
All right.
something.
Let me just respond to that.
Let me hear
because
from Noah as we wind up.
He's raised some very pertinent issues. He said that all government appointments during the tenure of the Grand Coalition government came from Raila
the
Odinga's
ones
family.
that came from Raila's side, the
What I
ones that
find
came from
amusing
Raila's
is
side.
that he's failed to. What is Gideon Muigai? Is he not Uhuru Kenyatta's cousin? What is Jomo Geshaga? Is he not Uhuru Kenyatta's cousin?
Merely
Who is
because they
Njeri
come from
Muturi? Is he
Kiambu
not
doesn't
Uhuru
mean they are
Kenyatta's
cousins.
cousin?
You know,
Are you denying what's something
merely
that is in
because they
public?
come from
He is not
Kiambu.
related to.
Gabe Muigai is not a relative.
All right. So
Anyway,
before we can
that
even take
aside-
this to a personal levels,
That
let's
aside-
wind up this
But there's something
conversation.
that allow me to
Going
clarify.
forward, what do
Yes.
you expect the president to talk about in his State of the Nation address, or what do you think he needs to point out, Ambrose Weda, as we wind up?
The president will deal squarely with the question of corruption. This corruption animal keeps on mutating. You handle it here, it measures there. You handle it here, he's going to deal with it as he sets out measures that it would require Parliament and the people of Kenya to deal with. He's going to tackle the question of insecurity, how we are going to increase the number of policemen, how we are going to deal with the war against terrorism, how far we have gone, where we have reached. And then the cost of living. The cost of living, how it's being tackled, how the shilling is being strengthened, and then is going to deal with the question of infrastructure.
Right.
What is being done. Alongside that, there'll be a question of revamping education, bringing back sanity in the neck, and so on. So it's going to address a wide range of issues, both those that have been done well, what is supposed to be done, and even areas where there have been failures. But what I wanted to clarify is this thing of tyranny of numbers. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has never uttered or campaigned on the basis of an alleged tyranny of numbers. This one was said by Mutahi Ngunyi. President Uhuru Kenyatta went out. He went out to Honorable Ruto, whom he knew was commanding almost 1.5 million. That he had previously given to Hon Raila. He went to him and said, let's share government 50-50. That brought in a voter basket. He went to Northeastern. He said, whoever is there, come. He did a broad coalition. He didn't go and say Gema is big. On the other side, they went insulting people and they kept on leaving. They left, Musalia left. The deputy president Ruto left, so they remained.
All right.
It's not a question of tyranny numbers; it's a question of coalition building.
Coalition building. All right, and
Yes.
we're going to leave it at that. I would like to say thank you all, gentlemen, for making time for the show today on The Way It Is. We've been speaking to Noah Akala, who is the Deputy Director Campaign for ODM, and Ambrose Weda, a lawyer as well, and Heshimiwa Moriuki and Jagagwa. Thank you all for making time for the show. And we did miss Omar Hassan, but I guess, I'm sure wherever he is, he just must have wanted to say something about what exactly is happening and in regard to the InfoTrack survey as well. But remember, you can get in touch with us on Morning Express KTN. That is the hashtag. I will be going through some of the opinion a little later, but let's take a short break. Coming up, we'll get you up to date with what's making headlines around the country.